Hi, I'm Mike Williams with the Knoxville Daily Sun, and today I was planning to visit Dollywood for an afternoon of fun, but unfortunately, because of the rain, I decided to change my plans, and now I'm in Greeneville, Tennessee, which is about an hour away from Gatlinburg, and it's a great place, a great destination for people who are into history. This is the home of President of the United States, Andrew Johnson, as well as his gravesite. He was born and raised he was born and reached his teenage years in North Carolina. And while he was there, he was apprenticed out to somebody. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with apprenticeship back in the 19th century, it was very similar to slavery. A person could be apprenticed to somebody, and the apprentice would teach them a skill, but they were indebted to him and they couldn't leave the employment until after the debt was paid. And the apprentice could basically rent them out to other people, or that he could also mistreat them in any way he wanted to. And if they left, he could post a reward and have them brought back against their will. It was similar to slavery, and it was abolished at the end of the Civil War along with slavery. Now, after he escaped, he and his brother were both apprenticed, and they both escaped. They came to Greeneville, Tennessee, where he eventually became a tailor, because that's how he was apprenticed, and built a successful business. Later got into politics, later became governor of Tennessee, and then later in 1865, he was sworn in as vice president of the United States. But his tenure as vice president lasted just 1 month, because 1 month after he was inaugurated, President Lincoln was assassinated at Ford's Theater, and Johnson became the new president. And his presidency was very contemptuous, because unfortunately for a lot of people, Republicans primarily, they were bitter about it, because the Civil War, or as they call it here in the South, the war between the states, had been over only about a week or two, and already there was a Southern Democrat sitting in the White House. This did not sit well with a lot of Republicans, so they went about trying to impeach him, and he became the first of 3 presidents in history to be impeached. And like the other 2, he was acquitted. He did not get removed from office. So it was the first attempt to remove a president from office through impeachment, and it failed. But right now we're going to go inside, visit the museum, then we'll visit his home, and then his gravesite. This is the house of President Andrew Johnson. And for those of you who did not know it, he was a staunch abolitionist himself. Now, he did own slaves up until 1863, but he eventually freed them. And when he became governor of Tennessee, he abolished slavery in Tennessee. So he did set a lot of people free. And he once said, "Slavery is the cancer upon the body politic, which must be rooted out before perfect health can be restored." And moving right along. Now, this house that we're looking at is the house that he and his family lived in from 1830s until 1851. Now let's go inside. This is the inside of the house. There are, of course, boards to interpret what actually took place here. Johnson was a constitutionalist. In other words, he believed firmly that the Constitution should dictate the law of the land, and he believed in states' rights, but he was also a unionist. He opposed secession of the South. Much of the original house has been restored. And this is the visitor center, where you can get maps and all sorts of great information about the site, the home, and other historical attractions. This is the inside of the museum. Lots of artifacts, things that belong to President Johnson. Original artifacts. And here is the tie that he wore to President Lincoln's funeral. This is a replica of the tailor shop that he built here in Greeneville. And this is the inside of the tailor shop. And it's located inside the museum here. And this is a replica of the home Johnson was born in Raleigh, North Carolina. This replica was built here years later using the exact floor plan. And this is a statue of the 17th president, located next to the, right across the street from the boyhood home and the museum. And this is the main house that President Johnson lived in throughout his entire presidency and even after. Now you have to have tickets to go inside, which is something I was not aware of, so we're not going to be taking the inside visit, but we will look around the outside. And here's a side view of the home right here. It's a large house, 3 stories. And all the interior furnishings and everything on the inside is 85% original. In the back view of the house, it was originally restored in the 1950s. And his great-granddaughter served as the first tour guide of the property, so she knew what was original and what wasn't. And this is the walkway up to the Johnson gravesite. Quite a few stairs there, so you're going to get in your cardio while you're up there walking to it. And this is the monument to President Johnson and the First Lady, Eliza Johnson. Believe it or not, I walked all the way up all those stairs and got to the top and discovered there was an access road. I could have just driven up here. So if you want to save yourself a few steps, just take the access road. You can see it's adorned with the Constitution of the United States. He was a staunch constitutionalist, bearing the torches of freedom. And there is the epitaph for the president. And just below is the resting place for the couple. But there you have it. That's the Andrew Johnson home, museum, and gravesite. So if you're into history, come on by and just check it out sometime. I think you'd really enjoy it. Thanks a lot.